Forced love. The madman keeps her on the tip of his heart. Zhou Xusi rarely bothered to attend a gala, but that night he did, and his heart slipped out of place. The room was full of old sharks who had survived decades in the boardroom. One look from Zhou Xusi, and they were already scheming how to flatter this apex predator. Before dawn, Nina's file lay on his desk. Zhou Xusi had never been the type to deny himself. The moment he wanted something, he fenced it inside his territory. Boyfriend or not, while Nina knew nothing of it, her fate had already been braided with his. Be good. Wan, Zhou Xusi's voice drifted from above. Nina shrank instinctively and struggled harder. Didn't you already break up with him? She glared up, eyes spitting stubborn fire. She didn't know why, or when, Zhou Xusi had developed this interest in her. Round after round of the chase and escape play. Even knowing she had a boyfriend, he bullied her at will. Rewind 1 hour. Nina had accompanied her boyfriend Chase to a gala. Midway, she drank the glass he handed her, felt sick, and asked him to take her back to her room. When she woke again, the room was crowded. Too many people. A greasy, pot-bellied executive knelt in the corner. Nina recognized him, the investor from her last project. Her boyfriend stood not far away, expression unreadable. Zhou Xusi lounged on the sofa as if watching a play that had nothing to do with him. Nina's first assumption was that Zhou Xusi was persecuting them. She shot him an angry look, so blatant it made him laugh outright. Nina, if I'd been 1 minute later, your boyfriend would have let that man fuck you. She knew every word, yet strung together they made no sense. Her gaze blurred. Behind Zhou Xusi stood one of his doctor friends. Chase. What does he mean? Her soft voice called another man's name. Zhou Xusi loosened his tie. Irritated, Cole clicked his tongue behind him. Pissed. Then why didn't you just sleep with her that night? Zhou Xusi ignored him. He had wanted to, but he'd been afraid the little kitten would be unhappy. Chase. Nina needed an answer, but Chase stood frozen. Zhou Xusi flicked a glance. The kneeling man blurted, Sue, I'll talk. Chase's company is in crisis. Desperate for capital. I hinted I wanted to. Before he finished, one of Zhou Xusi's guards kicked him over. Zhou Xusi waved. The man was dragged out. Muffled howls echoed in the corridor. Nina understood. In the industry, unspoken rules were daily fare. She simply hadn't expected her own boyfriend to act as the broker. What she really couldn't grasp was why, after so many years in the spotlight, no one had ever dared touch her. Why? Chase. A breeze could have knocked her over. Wan, I'm sorry. I lost my head. Forgive me. Let's go home, okay? Cole snorted. After pulling this, Fu still has the gall to beg? Chase's face flashed green then white, eyes fixed on Nina. He stepped forward to grab her hand. She stepped back. Why? Zhou Xusi watched her stubborn need for an answer and frowned. Stubborn little thing. Sorry. Chase kept repeating. You needed money, why not tell me? I have funds. I have connections. Chase. Why didn't you say a word? Chase's brows locked. He almost shouted. Because I didn't want to use my girlfriend's money. Nina laughed, tears streaming. So instead of using your girlfriend's money, you personally delivered her to another man's bed. Wan, no, listen. She tried to wipe her face, but the tears wouldn't stop. This was the man she had loved for 7 years. Let's break up. Zhou Xusi's brows lifted, a pleased curve on his lips. No, we're not breaking up. Wan, forgive me. Looking at this Chase, Nina felt he'd become a stranger. Every fight ended with him shouldering all the blame, but not every mistake earns forgiveness. Chase. The room was terrifyingly quiet when Nina spoke. Even Zhou Xusi tensed. The 17-year-old Chase wouldn't want me to forgive the man you are now. She felt dazed. How long had she known him? Too long. High school, college. She had already pictured their wedding. Without tonight, they would have married soon. She had watched him change. No one knew Chase better than she. Wan, don't say that. I really know I was wrong. She said nothing more. Chase seemed frantic, jabbing a finger at Zhou Xusi on the sofa. Fine, tonight was my fault. But what about you? What's your relationship with him? I've seen you two together again and Chase. Nina's voice cracked. She hadn't expected him to fling that accusation. In his eyes, was she that kind of woman? Youth lasts a few short years. Nina had spent 7 of hers with him. At 17 my heart was higher than the sky. I thought love was everything. But Chase, I forgot. Across endless mountains and rivers, love survives only on conscience. She couldn't cry anymore. A self-mocking smile curved her lips. The look in her eyes panicking Chase. I love you. Wan, I do. I was talking nonsense. The soft hurt in her gaze drove Zhou Xusi insane with jealousy. He couldn't sit still. Chase lunged to hug her. Zhou Xusi yanked her behind him and slammed his fist into Chase's face. Again, mercilessly. Cole hadn't seen Zhou Xusi raise a hand himself in ages. You think you're worthy of saying you you love her? Chase couldn't fight back. Punch after punch fell. Zhou Xusi showed no sign of stopping. God knew how his heart had clenched the instant he'd opened that door, and how grateful he'd been that his girl was still untouched, still clean. The woman he cradled in his palm, how dare she be trampled by anyone? Jealousy gnawed him raw. Why had this scumbag met Nina before he had? Blood had already splattered, yet the punches kept coming. Nina looked pleadingly at Cole. He only shrugged. When the boss loses it, no one can stop him. Why don't you try? She wanted to, except her legs were weak. She was scared, but blood was flowing. If this continued, someone might die. Her trembling fingers brushed Zhou Xusi's arm. Instantly he froze, as though sealed. Feeling sorry for him, he didn't turn. Voice ice cold. Blood. His brows relaxed. He turned, blocking her view. A bodyguard handed him a wet wipe. Leisurely he wiped his hands, eyes pinning Nina. Finished. He dropped the wipe. Before she could react, he swept her into his arms. Princess Carrie. Straight out of the room, he found the place filthy. Cole glanced at the half-dead Chase on the floor and sighed. Pick the wrong enemy. End up in hell. Get him to a hospital. Don't let him die here. Yes, sir. Zhou Xusi carried Nina to the penthouse suite. The moment he set her on the bed, she tried to scramble away. He refused to release her, locking her tight. Be good. Wanwan, her lashes trembled as his hands roamed. She fought harder. Didn't you already break up with him? She glowered. Obstinate. TCH. Baby, you're single. I'm single. Aren't we a match made in heaven? His gaze was ravenous. He leaned in to kiss her. She turned away, and his warm lips landed on her cheek. Why did his company run into trouble? The sudden question stunned him. Then he realized what she meant. Pain flared along her jaw as he forced her to face him. So that's the kind of man you think I am? She stayed silent. Answer enough. He released her abruptly, stalked to the balcony, lit a cigarette. She stared blankly, then straightened her clothes and darted for the door. Locked. Sweetheart, I gave you one cigarette's head start. Why didn't you run? His laughing voice neared. She whirled, back pressed to the door in clear defense. He caged her with arms on either side. If I make a move, Chase disappears overnight. She understood. If he struck, Chase would lose more than funding. While her mind raced, he leaned in. Their lips almost brushed. She pushed. Useless. And turned her face away. Look at it this way, he murmured. Even if I did set it up, and you saw the jerk's true colors, shouldn't you thank me? Nina gaped. How could anyone be this shameless? To her fury looked delectable. A big hand cupped the back of her head. He dipped and claimed the mouth he'd craved. She struggled. Both wrists were pinned to the door. Legs trapped. She bit his tongue hard. The taste of blood spread. He hissed. Such a fierce bite. Baby. She looked away. He followed, pinching her chin, tongues tangling until every nerve buzzed. Her shirt hem rose. Her hands were freed. Like a spitting kitten she shoved, pounded, useless. Exasperated, he finally let go, though he kept her locked in his arms. I should have slept with you that night. Then you wouldn't dare fight me. Her body trembled. That night, an ordinary rap party. She'd woken in Zhou Xusi's bed, her first memory of him. Yet he'd acted as if he'd known her far longer. He'd explained, someone drugged her and delivered her. He'd called a doctor. For a moment, she thought him a saint. Then he'd grinned. How about a kiss? I might outdo your boyfriend. She'd cursed him and fled. Had she known how dangerous he was, she'd never have dared. A touch on her lips snapped her back. She scowled. Daydreaming in my arms. Who are you thinking of? She kept silent. He smiled, quiet. He had ways to make her talk. Still mute. Then let's talk in bed. Wonder if the nightstand stash includes my size mph. To shut him up, she slapped a hand over his mouth. Eyes blazing. Amusement danced across his face. He deliberately ran his tongue over her palm. The damp touch made Nina jerk her hand back as if she'd been burned. What are you doing? To Cole it sounded less like an angry accusation than a little girl wheedling him. He leaned in, lips brushing her ear, and murmured 4 words. Nina went scarlet, every muscle locking up. She had heard him say, I wanted to have you. Okay. Cole watched her reaction and decided it was adorable. So adorable he itched to kiss her. He slid an arm around her waist, scooped her up in one smooth motion, and held her steady against his chest. When she squirmed, he landed a light swat on her bottom. Behave. Feeling her go still, he smiled. His embrace was warm, his steps unhurried. From her angle, she could see pure happiness shining on his face. When he set her on the bed a second time, he warned, lie still if you plan to make your call time tomorrow. though. The threat worked. Nina went limp. Only after Cole disappeared into the bathroom did her nerves unclench. Too much had happened. She drifted off thinking about it. Cole had hurried, afraid she'd fall asleep, but the girl was already out. He poked her cheek. So trusting. With a resigned sigh, he went back for cleanser and cotton pads, knelt beside the bed, and removed her makeup, then wiped her face with a damp towel. Next he texted. Minutes later a fresh set of clothes arrived. He crouched again, studying her, and dropped a soft kiss on her mouth. Cutest when you're asleep. As for the clothes, he dressed her himself, planted one more vengeful kiss on her lips, and finally headed for the bathroom. He stayed in the shower a long time. When he emerged, cold air clung to his skin. He stepped onto the balcony to smoke and cool off. The night was deep. Cole stared into the dark, lost in thought. Ash crumbled. Heat bit his fingertip, and only then did he blink. He looked back at Nina, feelings churning. Now that she'd landed in his hands, she wasn't allowed to run again, unless she wanted Chase erased. Nina had guessed right. Chase's company troubles were his handiwork. At first Cole had meant to wait to chase her only after she and Chase split. Then he learned Chase had ordered a ring. He couldn't wait any longer. The next invitation he received might be their wedding announcement. Chase, however, folded faster than expected. One small nudge and the relationship shattered. When Cole's skin warmed again, he slipped under the duvet, pulled Nina close, and pressed a reverent kiss to her forehead. My good little girl. Mine now. Morning. Nina stretched and felt an arm locked around her waist. Guarded eyes flashed into Cole's. Morning, baby. Instinct swung her hand. Cole caught it easily, tugged, and pinned her tighter. Only then did she notice the pajamas, and that she was wearing nothing underneath. Pervert. Keep going. Lewd. Shameless. Jerk. MMPH. The more she cursed, the cuter she seemed, so he crushed her to his chest and kissed her quiet. When he let her up, she glared daggers. Sweetheart, get moving and you'll still have time for breakfast. Nina wouldn't gamble with work. The outfit he'd prepared lay waiting. She scooped it up and locked herself in the bathroom. When she emerged, breakfast was on the table. Cole sat scrolling on his phone. He glanced over. Fit okay? Pink flooded her cheeks. She ignored him and ate. He dragged his chair beside hers, elbows on the table, and watched. Even her seasoned nerves frayed under that stare. Before, he'd merely hovered. She'd had a boyfriend then, and he'd kept his hands mostly to himself. Last night had removed that barrier. So when does my baby make me official? We've kissed. We've cuddled. Surely you're not going to ghost me? Such a soft, sweet baby couldn't be a player, right? Nina choked on her porridge. Cole yanked a napkin and dabbed her mouth. No need to be overwhelmed. You deserve the best. And here I am. I have to go. She shot up. He pressed her down again. A few more bites. I'll drive. You won't be late. She finished reluctantly. He delivered her to the set and caged her in one last thorough kiss before letting her out. For days he chauffeured her himself. Nina was docile, too docile, and Cole knew calm like this always hit a storm. Sure enough, one afternoon he arrived to an empty curb. Nina had wrapped at noon, skipped the wrap party, and gone straight home. Cole glanced at the GPS ping and chuckled. Fine, let her play outside a little. All evening her nerves stayed on edge, but he never appeared. She finally exhaled, then her phone buzzed. Chase, Wawa. I'm downstairs. Chase, can we talk? Her fingers hesitated. She threw on a coat and went down. She was still soft. After all, Chase looked thinner. What is it? His heart lurched. Wawa, don't be like this. She paled, spotting a familiar car parked nearby. Chase, we're over. He reached for her hand. She stepped back and his fingers closed on air. He's right there. Who he was needed no explanation. You're afraid of him, aren't you? Wawa? She met his gaze calmly. Aren't you? Chase retreated one defeated step, laughing at himself. He had lost. There's no going back. Move forward. Okay. The moment Chase left, Cole flashed his hazards. Nina walked over as though marching to her execution. The window slid down. Get in. The night wind made her shiver. Defiance still sparked in her eyes. Before she could decide, he was out, the door slamming like a judge's gavel. She instinctively backed away. He caught her wrist and manhandled her into the passenger seat. I'm in pajamas. Let me go change. He drove in silence. Face like marble, she curled into the seat, saying nothing. This Cole frightened her. Because of filming they'd stayed at the hotel. Tonight, for the first time, he took her to his house. Inside, he pinned her to the couch and kissed her hard. The more she struggled, the tighter the cage of his arms. When he broke away, both were breathless. Tell me, baby, what did you and the ex chat about? You know what I want to hear. His hand drifted along her waist. Danger in every stroke. And nothing. He gave a soft laugh, fingers mapping her cheek. Why so naughty, baby? Really? Nothing. He rose, and she saw her phone already in his grip. Broken up but not blocked. keeping him as backup? She lunged for it. It was a breakup, not a war. He flopped back. She landed sprawled across him. He was ready to deliver you to another man, and that's not war. You're very forgiving. She kept grabbing for the phone, oblivious to how their bodies aligned. After letting her wriggle, he flipped her beneath him, yanked off his tie, and bound her wrists. Undo this. He cradled her against his chest and, in full view, deleted Chase, blacklisted, erased, gone. You can't do that. He tossed the phone aside. Have I spoiled you too much? Nina went quiet. She was scared, genuinely scared of Cole. Not the way Chase feared his power, but scared of the man himself. Cole didn't push. Baby, this house is big, right? She looked around and had to nod. So, where would you like our first time to be? What first time? She asked. Bewildered, he lowered his gaze to her lips, hand pressing her waist. You know what I mean. She stiffened, shaking her head in refusal. Give me a title, or spend the night. Choose. Could she choose neither? The hand at her waist edged upward. I can decide for you. I'm tired. Let's go upstairs and sleep. She shook her head frantically. He pinched her waist. No, sleeping leaves only one option. She started to refuse. His fingers closed on her nape. Say what I want to hear. Baby, you're forcing me. Still choosing. I don't want either. Her eyes reddened. He sighed theatrically. What's that? You want me as your boyfriend? Well, if you insist. Nina, so, can we do what couples do now? Cole. Right here. You, shameless. True. Baby, let me go. She was exhausted. She never won. Baby, I'm a little mad. Coax me. Say. Cole is Nina's boyfriend. Pretty please? She pretended not to understand. He always had leverage. She felt his fingers slide under the waistband of her pants. Her bound hands useless. His other arm locking her in place. The sensations unraveled her. Stop, please. He didn't answer. Only sped up. See, Cole is Nina's boyfriend. Again. Baby. Cole is Nina's boyfriend. Good girl. Here's your reward. He didn't stop until her head lolled against his shoulder. Her body limp. Enjoy that, sweetheart? She couldn't speak. The man was pure rogue. He chuckled, untied the silk tie, and massaged her wrists. So what are we now, baby? She shut her eyes, feigning deafness. He kissed her sealed lips, forcing them open, claiming her mouth. I'll answer for you. We're a couple. Nina gave up. Whatever. Who cared? Until he carried her toward the bathroom. She clutched the doorframe. You, what are you? Recalling his last answer to that question, she couldn't finish. One by one he peeled her fingers away. What do people do in bathrooms? Babe, what else did you have in mind? I can wash myself. Out. I need a shower too. Baby, then I'll leave. Let go. No, I'd be scared alone. In the end, bathing left them both breathless. Every liberty short of the final one had been taken. I hate you. The instant Nina touched the bed, she shrank to the very edge, looking as if she'd been wronged. Zhou Xusi followed her onto the mattress and pulled her into his arms. That's okay. I love you. Love. After being entangled with him for so long, this was the first time she'd heard him say it. She had no energy left to fight him. She was too tired. Even breathing drifted from the little body in his arms. Zhou Xusi kissed her tenderly, the affection in his eyes deep enough to drown a person. Nina's days soon turned mechanical. Work or accompany Zhou Xusi. Nothing else. Day after day his need to control her sharpened until all she wanted was escape. She thought it, and then she did it. One afternoon she sat in her manager's office for hours. Not long after, news of her retirement hit the hot search list on Weibo. The moment she left the agency, she started deleting apps one by one, even the SIM card, everything except WhatsApp. At the end, she smashed the phone and tossed it. If she deleted WhatsApp, the man on the other side would know. When it all happened, Zhou Xusi was drinking with Cole and the others. He kept texting Nina unilaterally. When she didn't answer, he told himself she was busy riding the coach bus out of town. She still felt dazed. She'd spent years in the industry. Was she honestly willing to walk away? When her manager asked, she'd blanked. Why had she entered show business in the first place? She didn't miss it. She joined only to meet more people, to earn good money, to build a future with Chase. What she'd really wanted was to be a designer. But somewhere along the line everything changed. She still had a chance. Leave here. Start fresh. Zhou Xusi was already annoyed. Nina hadn't answered his messages in ages. Seeing him glued to his phone, Cole opened his own and started scrolling. One glance and the flood of headlines stunned him. Your little bride just quit the industry history. Zhou Xusi looked over blankly. What did you say? Cole handed him the phone. The longer Zhou Xusi read, the darker his face became. He dialed her number. No answer. He opened the security app and tracked her GPS, grabbed his coat, and stormed out. But when he reached the location, all he found was her shattered phone lying quietly in a trash can. Nina, don't let me catch you. She didn't leave the country. That would have been too obvious. She simply transferred through a string of buses and went home to the house with mom and dad. It was a tiny county town. When Su Yuanshan and Lin saw their girl walk in, they were over the moon. Su Yuanshan took her straight out to buy a new phone and registered a new SIM under his own name. She didn't explain. They didn't ask. Their child was grown. Decisions were hers, and they wouldn't interfere. That night Lin came into Nina's room. Wan, tell mom. Did someone bully you? No, mom. I'm just tired. I want to rest. I don't want show business anymore. I want to be a designer. Good. You've loved drawing since you were little. Your dad and I always wondered why you suddenly became a star. I don't know what I was thinking either. How's things with that little boyfriend of yours? We've broken up. Seeing Lin so calm, Nina asked, Mom, aren't you going to ask why? You two didn't suit. Nina swallowed. Fine, Mom had seen it too. Rest well. Work can wait. Take a few days to play. Got it. Mom, you turn in early too. After Lin left, Nina was about to sleep when a text arrived. 1 year. She found it baffling, then it clicked. Zhou Xusi. You get 1 year, baby. Hide well. Her nerves jumped. But then she reasoned that he always kept his word. 1 year meant 1 year. Maybe after 12 months he'd lose interest. That thought let her breathe again. Across town, Zhou Xusi was at the airport. Cole studied his face and said softly, Is this holding you up from chasing her? Not at all. The little girl wants to play. Let her play. Zhou Xusi never acted without full confidence. 1 year would feel endless, but he had to handle business abroad. And whether he'd come back alive was anybody's guess. Actually, this is good. The situation's messy. With her away, she's safer. If nothing urgent had popped up, Nina would already be lying in his bed. Asterisk. A year is long and short at the same time. Nina worked as an assistant in a local studio. The days had purpose, and she was with her parents. Happiness. She thought, so happy that memories of Zhou Xusi felt like a dream she'd once had. But dreams they were not. Mom, what's up? Wan, your dad and I are almost downstairs. Come help. There's a lot of stuff. Coming, she threw on a jacket and ran down, craning her neck for her parents, until a car sliced into view. That car, she knew it all too well. Zhou Xusi, a name she'd nearly forgotten. He stepped out. They were separated only by a street. Her phone pinged, but she didn't want to look. Or rather, she didn't dare. Across the road he lifted his phone with a small wave. She gave in and glanced at the screen. Come here, just 2 words. Yet they crushed her. She lifted her head. The man opposite didn't move, and neither did she, her refusal silent. He only smiled and shifted his gaze. She followed it. Su Yuanshan and Lin were back. Still smiling, he started toward them, and Nina's defenses cracked. Forgetting everything, she dashed across the asphalt. She ran straight into him, momentum carrying her into his chest. He caught her easily. Tisk, baby, you really missed me. She looked up, a protest on her lips, but meeting the smile that didn't reach his eyes. She swallowed the words. Lowering her head, she whispered, I missed you. He knew she was lying, and he loved the lie. Talking with your head down. Where's the sincerity? I came loaded with sincerity. I want to meet my father-in-law and mother-in-law. She jerked her head up. Leave my parents out of this. With cool fingertips he brushed a tear from the corner of her eye. Why would I hurt my future in-laws? Baby, I'm nothing to you anymore. Fury flashed in his eyes. Baby, a one-sided breakup isn't a breakup. Come with me. Or do I join you for the family visit? She pressed her lips tight. He lost patience. He opened the trunk. Gifts in one hand, her wrist in the other, his intention unmistakable. Stunned, she realized he really planned to meet her parents. After 2 steps she flung her arms around his waist, freezing him in place. He laughed. Baby, should I take this as choosing option 1, leaving with me? She stayed silent. Neither choice ever suited her. Then we're going home. Patience exhausted, he tossed the gifts back, stuffed her into the car, and drove off. Lin called a Wan. Didn't you come down? Mom, my boss called. Emergency trip. I'm already on the road. Forgot to tell you. Oh, that's fine. Work hard. Don't worry about home. Got it. Mom. The instant she hung up, tears spilled and soft sobs filled the car. Zhou Xusi said nothing, but his clenched jaw betrayed his mood. She dozed again and again. Finally they were back at the place that had once caged her. Only when he carried her inside and pinned her to the sofa did reality hit. Tears streamed anew. He braced himself above her, staring at the crying girl beneath him. I haven't even done anything and you're already bawling? Being beside me, is that unbearable? She shook her head, sniffled. I'm hungry. Wah. He sighed. Little ancestor, I must owe you in a past life. Then he headed for the kitchen. She sat up dazedly, watching him move about, and her heart softened unaccountably. Come and eat. She walked over and sat, a bowl of noodles. Under his gaze she ate bite after bite. He stayed quiet, letting her finish. More? She shook her head. Fruits on the coffee table? You've lost weight. He took the dishes to the sink. She curled up on the sofa and bit into a strawberry. Had she lost weight? Seemed so. Looking around, almost nothing had changed. The table still held her favorite fruits and snacks. He really, truly had taken good care of her. Thinking, she fell asleep on the sofa. Zhou Xusi returned to find her curled up like a kitten, but his throat tightened. Desire surging, he carried her to the bedroom. She was exhausted, never stirred, sleeping sweetly. He, however, had no intention of letting her stay asleep. He gently pinched her nose. When she couldn't breathe, she woke with a blink, dazed until sensation jolted her awake. And what an awakening. Both of them naked on the bed. Zhou Xusi, right here, don't do this. He only smiled. Hands roaming. This, or this. Which of this? Baby. She was close to tears, but he silenced her with a fierce kiss. Choking up already. What'll you do later, baby? She trembled, covering her mouth to keep quiet. He pinned her hands above, fingers interlaced. Love hearing my baby moan. Time blurred. Their heartbeats found a strange, shared rhythm. The night was far from over. Nina woke past noon, body aching, limbs weak. Zhou Xusi had been holding her. Last night, crashed back. With sudden courage she kicked him off the bed. He'd been awake, curious about her reaction. He hadn't expected to be booted onto the floor. The thud made her realize what she'd done. She wrapped herself tight. Sorry. He laughed in disbelief, climbed back, and tugged the quilt down. I served you all night, and this is how you treat me, baby. She turned her face away, not talking. Then we're doing. She shook her head frantically, hand on his arm. No more. Her voice came out soft, softer than she knew. He leaned in. Was my baby just acting cutesy? She blinked. If he called it cute, fine. I'm really tired. And so hungry. Can I have the noodles you made yesterday, please? He'd never had this treatment. He floated, even if she was conning him. Fine. Lie there and wait. Once he left, sleep eluded her. She noticed the wrecked room and flushed. All she remembered was begging him to stop. Yet he hadn't. Still, a pang of worry hit. He'd caught her, but at least he wasn't angry. Did spending the entire night proving he wasn't angry not count? If she hadn't passed out, he'd still be going, but the naive girl didn't grasp that. Thinking she'd gotten off easy and first time gone, yet he wasn't mad. At lunch she glanced at him cautiously. What does baby want to say? Zhou Xusi, you've already had me. Keep going. She swallowed, suddenly unsure she should. His eyes looked dangerous. Baby, your credit score with me is running pretty low. Nina didn't have to say it aloud. Chase could guess most of what she was thinking. Fortunately, the little girl knew better than to voice it. Or else. Please. Nina looked at him hopefully. What's wrong with letting me take care of you? Chase tugged her over and settled her on his lap. Nina pressed her lips together and stayed silent. She still wanted out. Kiss me. Just those two words. And then he stared straight at her. Her fingers twisted the hem of her shirt. Finally, she made up her mind and brushed her lips lightly against his. Baby, that was way too half-hearted. Again, she swallowed, closed her eyes, and leaned in once more. But she only kept her mouth pressed to his. Motionless. Chase didn't move either, though his hand had already slipped under her blouse. Nina's eyes flew open. A soft gasp escaped her, and Chase seized her lips in a fierce kiss. Tongues tangling. Later, she woke up in bed. Chase wasn't in the room. Nina lay staring at the ceiling and exhaled a long, quiet sigh. He still hadn't said whether she could go back to work or not. She bit her lip, got up, and went to find him. She couldn't escape anyway. She might as well coax the big child. She found him in the study, working at his computer. When she stepped in, he looked at her without a word. Nina shut the door, heart thudding, and walked toward him one deliberate step at a time. Slept enough? She had reached his side when she lost her nerve. She turned to leave, but an arm snared her waist and lifted her back onto his lap. Chase sighed inwardly. Silly baby still hadn't learned how to coax him. Nina bit her lip, steeled herself, raised her head and kissed him, trying to imitate the way he always kissed her. Copying him stroke for stroke didn't work. The reins slid back to Chase in seconds. Baby, how can you be this clumsy? She shot him a glare and struggled to stand up. He was a bully. She wouldn't negotiate with him anymore. Strength was too unequal. Furious, Nina sank her teeth into his collarbone. Hiss, our baby sure knows how to bite. When she realized what she'd done, she tried to let go, but his hand clamped the back of her neck and held her there. When did I ever say you couldn't go back to work? Nina blinked. He really hadn't. After that the two shifted into peace mode. Except when they were in bed. Nina actually spent most of her time sweet-talking him. She felt as if she'd opened a new door, coddle Chase every day and discover that the man was actually pretty nice. Nice to her. He kept her very well. Asterisk, baby. I'm taking you to a party tonight. Wouldn't it be awkward for me to go? You're my girlfriend. What could be awkward? Nina stopped protesting and went out with him that evening. Inside the private lounge. Besides Cole she knew no one, yet they all greeted her warmly, flattered and surprised. It seemed an ordinary gathering, until the door burst open. Blair stormed in, originally looking for Chase, but her gaze locked on Nina first. You're the little girlfriend Chase keeps? Nina gave a soft yes. Puzzled. I'm the one his family picked for him, Blair said. Eyes fixed on Nina, waiting for a reaction. Nina only blinked, then gave a small oh, her pupils even shining with a flicker of excitement. Interesting reaction. Cole whispered to Cole, why do I get the feeling little sister-in-law is kind of thrilled? Drop the feeling, she is. Cole shot a glance at Chase. TCH. He'd chased her so long and she still wanted to run. You don't even like him. Leave him and come with me. Little Wan. Nina was floored. What on earth did Blair mean? A glass slammed on the table. Blair, outside, now. Even after the two left, Nina remained bewildered. Cole spoke up. Little sister-in-law. Blair, the woman just now, she swings both ways. So, Blair was into her. Nina sank into her own thoughts. A few minutes later they returned. Blair flopped onto the sofa. Cole, come pop my, she caught Nina's eyes. Pop my arm back in. Only then did Nina notice the bruise on Chase's face. Had they been fighting? Chase, don't think your pretty face will keep Wan. Beating me proves nothing. Let her choose who she wants to leave with. Chase stayed silent. He dared throw punches, yet didn't dare let Nina choose. And Nina herself said nothing, plunging him into bleak silence. Chase seized her wrist and hauled her out. Blair tried to block, but Cole seized the moment and yanked her shoulder back into its socket. Blair howled. Nina instinctively paused to look. The move ignited Chase. He hoisted Nina over his shoulder and carried her off. Blair glowered at Cole. Birds of a feather. Thanks for the compliment. Cole grinned. Someone had to escort his buddy down the road to marital bliss. Neither spoke on the way home. The moment they stepped inside, Chase pinned her for a kiss. Nina shoved him away. What are you, crazy again? He stood there smiling, ferocity swirling in his eyes. So in your eyes, I'm just a madman who loses at any time? Fine. I'm crazy. Chase's company is in trouble. My doing. Even if I hadn't moved. You know what kind of man he is. How far could your love have gone? You sail smooth in the industry. No one dares touch you. You think that's luck. Who do you think blocked the scum for you? You wanted freedom. I gave you a year. Wasn't that enough? I almost died overseas. Clung to life just to see you again. You know how far your home is from here. In that year, I sneaked there again and again to watch you. Countless times, you never knew. You hop-skipped over every line I drew. I indulged you every single time. Nina, I'm not good-tempered. And I'm no saint. I'm simply crazy about you. I coax you. Stay with you. Treat you right. Hell, I'd rip my heart out if you asked. No matter what I do, you never see it, do you? If I let you choose, would I ever be in your choices? Love or game? Truth or sham? Do you truly not know? Or just pretend not to? Nina, do you even have a heart? If I'd known you didn't, I might as well have died out there. Nina stood frozen while he walked past and opened the door. Go. The freedom you want and take it. He went upstairs without looking back. She stared outside. A breeze carried the scent of freedom, yet her feet felt nailed to the floor. Every sentence he'd hurled landed inside her like a stone, stirring memories, and she suddenly felt scared. In all her recollections, Chase seemed too perfect. Crazy anytime. No, except for tonight he'd never even spoken harshly in front of her. And if she thought about it, those harsher words had sounded more like grievances. Her phone rang. Video call from Lynn. Sweetie, why didn't you tell mom and dad you're dating? Little Chase isn't someone shameful. Nina froze. What? Look at this cottage. Lovely, isn't it? Little Chase flew us here. Said you missed us. This place can't be cheap. He's so thoughtful. Sue added beside her. He came to see you? Yes, but he told us he's just a manager. Won't this place burden him? Nina's eyes stung. She shook her head. It's fine. You and Dad just enjoy staying there. Good. We think he's terrific. Much better than that. Chase. Whatever. Mom, Dad, are you two sold that easily buy a house? Lynn and Sue exchanged glances and shook their heads in unison. Lynn spoke earnestly. We can't be bought by bricks. To qualify as our son-in-law, the first rule is he treats you well. Kid, when that boy talks about you, his eyes give him away. Nina could hardly hold her tears. Got it. I'll bring him home when I'm free. Gotta run.
Bye.
The instant the call ended, tears fell. Days ago she'd casually said she missed her parents, and Chase had flown them over and supplied a house. She wiped her face, grabbed the first aid kit, and went upstairs. Inside, Chase stood on the balcony smoking, looking lonely. Hearing her, he glanced at the kit, stubbed the cigarette, and reached to take it. I'll do it. Nina refused to let go. She simply laced her fingers through his and led him to the couch. Why didn't you leave? She opened the box in silence, soaked antiseptic on cotton, and dabbed at the cut on his cheek. Halfway through, her tears burst like a dam, a suppressed sob making her look fragile. After a long moment she heard him sigh. Cool fingertips brushed her cheeks, wiping the tears away. You always used this move on me. I'm not such a bastard I'd touch your parents. You can leave in peace if you want. The instant he finished she threw herself into his arms. I'm not leaving. The corner of his mouth lifted. Baby, sure. Good. Stay with me forever. Then, he scooped her up and carried her to the bedroom. Some action was required to seal the promise just made. All night long, passion bloomed. Next morning Nina opened her eyes to find Chase staring as if he could never get his fill. Morning, baby, she blinked, then narrowed her eyes. Where's your phone? He handed it over. Check anything you like. She paged through, quickly located the security app, opened it. Sure enough, cameras dotted the estate. Chase snatched the phone back, flustered. Baby, what you want for breakfast? If, after talking to my parents yesterday, I'd still decided to leave, what would you have done? He went quiet and looked away. She laughed, stretched like a cat. Let me answer for you. You'd still drag me back. Her laugh melted his tension, like a kid caught red-handed who suddenly gains a co-conspirator. He buried his head in the crook of her neck and caged her tightly. I can be mad, but I'll never let you go. You mean you can't live without me? Right. I can't live without my baby. He tensed suddenly. So when do I visit the parents? Wife. Heat flooded her ears. Stop yelling random titles. Didn't you say you'd take me home? Maybe we pick up a marriage certificate first? How's that sound? When no answer came, a wave of loss washed through him. It's fine. He could wait. Let go first. I need to brush my teeth. This time he fell silent. Let go. He jerked his head up. Marriage certificate? Okay. Go brush. Go. I'll use the other bathroom. Go first, Chase. Breathe. Damn. Impossible. He vaulted off the bed so fast Nina couldn't stop him. Not until the red booklet lay in his hand did Chase feel he'd woken from a dream. He glanced at Nina beside him. Happiness spilling over. Among everyone who had ever been good to her, Chase ranked first. Nina was his first choice. His favorite. His one and only exception.